So now I'm going to show you the beautiful gold veins on the inside to match the gold veins on the outside on the Expressions in Ink paper. So we can do this very, very simply. Okay, so this is shaded spruce ink and the artistically inked stamp set. Now I like to use my Stamparatus for most of my stamping, because if I get it wrong the first time, I always have a second chance. So I'm going to position my paper that I've pre-cut. The dimension. Now because I want this to go off the corners, I'm going to position my paper away from the corner of the Stamparatus. Now if you're just using an ink block, of course, you just want to make sure you have something else underneath it to catch that extra ink. So I'm going to grab the ink blot corner. This is the stamp set that came out of the paper pumpkin, the artistically inked paper pumpkin. And it has also a lovely little ink blot that I have not used yet. But the fonts of this match the fonts of the artistically inked set. So I haven't put stickers on all of mine. I put them on as I need them because I'm kind of lazy. So here's the stamp. On the back you can hardly see any detail to it, but I've used it quite a lot, so you might be able to see that it's a little dark in some places. So I'm going to just lay it right across the corner, and I'm going to lay it so that the edge of it looks like it's running off. Okay, so then I'll put my plastic down and grab hold of that. These new cling sets stamps are so clingy. It's so fabulous here. So I'm just going to ink up. Now as the background of this, I just have a pad of the grid paper, and after I've gotten it kind of dirty, I'll cut a corner out and save it to use on my Stamparatus. This is 7 by 7 inches. Okay, so I'm just going to ink this up. And plop it down. And I might even do it again and move my paper a little to get it off the edge, to get that last corner. Now watch how when I fold this over, how it is going to kind of double up on some of it, which just gives it more interest. It does not look over stamped. And then on mine, I did it on the other side as well. And these are the magnets that come with the Stamparatus. It's a rectangular magnet. I wrapped it in washi tape so that I had something to grab hold of to be able to pick it up and move it. And also if you get them stuck together, it's really helpful to have something that'll pull it apart. So now I'm going to do the other side, but on this side, I'm not going to bother filling in the corner. I'm going to let this just be just a little bit there. Okay, so that's going to be just a little. It hardly needs to dry at all. I'm going to just set my Stamparatus over to the side. Now, this is such fun. I'm going to use the Gilded leafing. It is a huge pot of actual gold, really, really fine sheets of gold. Okay. It's in there, and I've used this for quite a lot already and shared it with my friend, and there's still tons of it. So it's a huge value. It's only $9 for this giant bowl of pot of gold. A pot of gold. That's fabulous. Okay, so then we want a fine tip glue applicator. So this is Stampin' Up's fine tip glue pen. So grab hold of it on the black and twist the white off. And then you have a very nice narrow little point to this. And I'm going to do one side at a time, but I'm going to randomly draw a really thin layer of glue wherever I want the gold. So I want the gold here and here, and it can just sweep all the way through. And it takes a second, but I always close my glue up in between just because I hate for it to dry out. Okay, now you're going to pick up a few little pieces. You can kind of straighten them out if you want to. It doesn't really matter. The thing I found though is when you use them as a little bit bigger sheets, you don't get so much glue on your fingers. You also can use a brayer or a sponge or a blending brush to stick these down, but I kind of found that my finger was the best. It does stick though if you get the glue on your fingers. Okay, so you want to kind of cover it over. Now you're going to put all of this back into the jar when you finish, so don't feel like you're using it all up. Okay, you're just going to keep putting it on, and look at that big old chunk of gold. Okay, I feel like that's on pretty well. So now all you do is you rub it off. Now at first glance, it's leaving quite a lot. I like to take a stamping sponge. They come through to a package. It's called a stamping sponge. And after I have gotten the most of it off, I will cut a wedge of this sponge. These are not the best scissors for it, but it doesn't really matter. I'll cut a wedge, and then I'll keep this wedge for gold. And I will just actually brush it off more. Using the sponge helps to keep you from getting the ink and the glue and everything on your fingers. Now the more you rub with this, the more that gold's going to come off. But I love it. Okay, I think it is the coolest effect. Now once you have let it dry, once that glue dries, it's not going to go anywhere. Okay, that gold is pretty set. So then I gather that back up. Okay. We're going to do the same thing with the other side. I'm just going to draw on it as I please. You notice that I got some kind of clunky sections there. I'm going to try to have it thinner, but I think I've already noticed that I did kind of thick lines. The more glue you put on, the more gold is going to stick. And we're going to just put this this gold right back on. It doesn't go to waste at all. Grab another nice piece. And like I said, this jar is so large that you can use this with abandon and really not worry about running out. Matter of fact, I learned to do this a long time ago, and the gold, the leafing that I had then was a multicolor. So I'm so thrilled to have a solid gold. And I can still use that. What I used years and years ago, I can still use it, but it's just all different sorts of colors in it. So I like the gold here. So I'm going to put that back. It does kind of stick. I turned my fan off in my craft room so that it wouldn't blow this absolutely everywhere. So I'm removing the loose. And then if you wanted those lines finer, you could just work that a little bit more. And I'm going to actually gather this up onto my piece of paper with my sponge. It's not going to come completely. A vacuum cleaner will help in a little while in my floor. But I'm willing to go through it. It's not as bad as glitter. Okay, I'm just saying. Da-da-da. And then I got a little bit extra places that I'm going to brush off. And then you can continue on and stamp that as you please. Okay, so that is adding the gold veins for the alcohol ink look. Now you can do it without true alcohol ink in gold, but I didn't have any, so I wanted to see it for this card. Okay, so I don't know whether I use the, see, I made one corner a little bit bigger than the other corner just because I like the difference, and you have your choice, of course, of how you like to do that.